Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. As you guys can see, we are in the shop today, and you might notice I'm wearing a little bit warmer clothes. And today is November the 13th. Hurricane Nicole came through here 2 days ago, dumped a bunch of rain. We didn't get really anything major, just a lot of rain over the last couple days. And today it's gonna snow. So only in the south can you get a hurricane one day, 72-degree day the next day, and then snow the very next day. So it's only about 45 degrees outside, and the temperature's just supposed to keep dropping. I think the low tonight's gonna be 28, something like that. And the mountains, which are about an hour away from us, are gonna get a bunch of snow. So hurricane and snow in 3 days, welcome to the south. So besides the weather update, we actually have a quick project for the ZR2. And I'm not sure this project's actually gonna work out. So you guys might be wondering, well, what is that project? Let's just go ahead and show you. So if you guys can see here, this is one kind of beat up Corvette ZR1 caliper. And you're like, wait, why do you have a Corvette ZR1 caliper? Well, that is because there's a company out there called CTSV Brake Swaps. If you guys can read, it says CTSVBrakeswap.com. They have a truck 6-piston ZR1 bracket. So there's a company out there that sells brackets that adapt the 6-piston Brembos for a 1999, I think, to 2018 truck. Not sure if this is going to work on a 19 plus, so this is kind of why I really haven't bought many parts. And the other thing is, you guys know, I've got the Corvette back behind us. If these brakes aren't going to work out on the truck, I can always throw them on my Corvette. So not, so this is one of those things, it's like, I bought it, I'm like, okay, well, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I can always either sell it or put them on my Corvette. So no big deal there. So you guys can see that we got a fully loaded ZR1 caliper. Now I got this one on eBay for about 300 bucks. It has the brake line, the caliper, the pads, and the mounting bolts. We won't be using any of that. The bottom line, it's smashed, but it's not crushed. This isn't broke all the way through, so it's not leaking. But if this project ends up working out, I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and actually get this torn apart and get it powder coated. Or, since we are on a budget here, I might just order the new crossover tube. There is a guy that sells them. And just go ahead and get it and paint it myself. So that's kind of where we're at. I don't know, like I said, if this project works out, might take the time to get these powder coated, like I said, or just go ahead and order a can of paint and paint it myself. I'm not sure where we're at on that, on how this is going to work out. So that's kind of our two options: powder coat that caliper or get it painted. This bracket, I don't even know if this bracket will bolt onto my truck. I bought them. I kind of bought it on a whim. I did reach out to the company. They ghosted me. They didn't even reply to my email. So I was kind of like, well, if it works, sweet. If it doesn't, oh well, I got a set of calipers for my Corvette for a later project, or I got a sweet deal on a set of calipers for the Corvette. And actually, I do have a brand new, this is the passenger side. I do have a brand new driver's side caliper. I got that was half off, but that's for later down the road. But anyway, so what we're doing today is jacking up the truck, taking the passenger side front tire off, and basically bolting this bracket on. So to show you how this project's going to work, you actually take the bracket that you got from CTSV Brake Swap. You pretty much kind of put it in place there. That's kind of how that looks like that's going to work out. If you guys noticed a video a few weeks ago where we said we got a project coming up and we needed the 20-inch wheels, those Denali wheels that we have, this is why. I've been seeing this kid out there for a while, and I was like, I think that might work out. So, all right, guys, you can see we got the wheel off, we got the brake caliper up. Just for your information, those brake bolts are being held on with red Loctite, so be prepared to get a bunch of tools to get those off. And yeah, so we are ready to start the mock-up, and fortunately, guys, looks like we're a no-go. So I got the longer bolts on here to kind of show you where we're running into problems. So we're in on the top and bottom, and you guys can see where I kind of marked out the edge of the drop spindle, steering knuckle, whatever you want to call it. And as you guys can see, we have some serious clearance issues on the top and on the bottom. It's obviously worse on the top, but guys, I mean, if that's half an inch by almost an inch, I mean, that's a ton of material you would have to take off. Alright guys, well that kind of bites that the brackets don't fit. I have not completely given up on this project. I actually am looking on buying a used spindle on eBay. They're going for around 60 to 80 bucks, and I think I'm just going to buy that. That's really the only part that I can't sell, or that I'm going to butcher, if that makes sense. Because like I said, the calipers, I can use those over on the Corvette behind us. I could always resell them if I have to. These brackets, I'm pretty sure I could throw these on Facebook Marketplace and sell them pretty quick. So, all right guys, here is the spare passenger side steering knuckle I picked up. Got this, I think it was like 50 bucks on eBay. And as you guys can see, kind of like I alluded to, we kind of needed to machine off the ears just to make clearance for this bracket. And like I said, if we threw this piece up, not a bigger deal. I can always scrap it. So what my plan is today, you guys can kind of see where I've outlined here on the bottom as well as the top. We're gonna clearance it for the bracket and the ears. You guys can see the angled piece that does go inward. And I did mock up the brakes, and everything looks like it's gonna bolt on. Like I said, we just need to make clearance on the aluminum spindle for the 2019 Plus. And once I get this machined out, this bracket should fit. So let's go ahead, get started on this. We're gonna use our drill press. I got some end mills that we're gonna use and go from there. All right guys, you can see we have the steering knuckle bolted down to the drill press. And if you guys can see, I actually already machined out the bottom end. That went pretty smooth. I just ended up cleaning up with a flapper wheel on my angle grinder, because it just got to the point where I machined so much of this that it was, it wasn't gonna be, it was more efficient just to hit it with an angle grinder, like I said, with a flapper wheel, than it would be to keep drilling holes and holes and holes. So basically, the gist is I'm gonna take the end mill and drill the dotted area that we have, as you guys can see, and I'll just drill a hole through the piece of aluminum. The end mill is working pretty well. Goes right through this stuff like butter. And yeah, I mean, it's aluminum, so it's not anything too impressive. But yeah, so I'm just gonna do plunge drills, plunge cuts, whatever they call it, and basically cut this outline out, and whatever's left over, if there's any little ridges or anything, flapper wheel and the angle grinder will take care of the rest of that. Alright guys, you can see we basically made 3 big plunge cuts here, the middle, and the left, and that basically got us all the way down. I did manage to get all the way through on the outermost one, this middle piece. I'm just going to end up cutting that down with a flapper wheel because it's pretty thin. Alright guys, you can see we have the adapter bracket fully bolted to the 2019 and newer brake spindle, steering knuckle, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, we definitely had to make some room for this bracket. As you guys can see, this casting used to go pretty much straight like that. So I had to use the mill. We milled all that out. And then same thing down here. This casting went like that, so we had to hog out a little bit of that. And then kind of on the flip side, well, you guys can't really see, I actually had to extend the flat part, basically where the bracket bolts down. I had to basically extend that down here. So yeah, definitely a lot of work to make these brackets work. And in just mocking up the ZR1 caliper, we're gonna have to work on these too. So basically what the instructions say, kind of continue this flat line out. So kind of like that. Basically what I had to do on the back side of the spindle, so we have to do that again. Basically flatten this out, and we might have to make some clearance for the mounting bolt like here and here. All right guys, it's been a few weeks since our last update because I was waiting for parts, and so we've got some updates for you. You guys will be able to see I do have the rotor. This is the 16.5-inch rotor that comes with the GM kit for the 2020 or 2019 and newer trucks. This may retrofit back to the previous generations, but I know this specifically was for the 2019 and plus. And as you guys can see, we do have a wheel bearing now. I picked that up as it was a 6-mile wheel bearing. I think I got it for 80 bucks on eBay. And you guys will also notice that I have the caliper fully installed on the steering knuckle. So we are 100% done getting all the grinding, clearancing, and machining done for this project. So basically what I got to do now is actually take the caliper off so that we can get the brake rotor off, and then we'll see if this is going to line up. The reason I say that I'm not sure if this is going to work is because, like I said, this kit is for the previous generation truck, and actually 2 previous generation trucks, like the GMT 800s, and then the 2008 to 2014-ish truck, and then I'm not even sure if there was a 14 to 19 truck. I think there might be 2 or 3 generations in trucks there. I don't know if the offset of this rotor will actually sit in the middle of this caliper. And the reason I kind of say this, because if you guys actually take the 2019 brakes and put them on the previous generation, you have to space them out a little bit. And, you know, with a little, I think it's like an 1/8" washer. And our kit came with washers, but there's no instructions on where to put them. So I don't know, we might have to do a little bit of finagling here of pushing the caliper further out, and that way it lines up with that rotor. All right, guys, here is the back of the caliper, like we said. You'll see that I notched it here and notched it here. So actually that's kind of for the top of the bolts here and here. So the bottom, you know, basically the bolts that mount the bracket to the knuckle. So we had to make clearance for that. And you guys will see that it's all one plane. So I just made a, you know, half circle here, got it down to the same depth as this flat mounting surface, and it's perfectly flat. So I just used, you know, the Dremel, like I said, with some WD-40, clearance that, and then I just hit it with a file, and it's on the same plane as these mounting pads. Now, guys, this isn't going to matter. You know, this doesn't have to be perfectly flat, but I just wanted this to be kind of uniform. So we are, you know, so that's all flat, like I said. And then right here, you'll notice I notched out here and here. And that's basically to make room for these cap sockets because the hardware they use is kind of beefy, which makes sense. So, you know, like I said, we notched it here, we notched it there. So yeah, that's the modifications for the ZR1 caliper to fit with this bracket on the 2019 and newer steering knuckle. All right, well, we know that the rotor will fit on the hub, so that's good. Now, kind of like I was saying, I don't know if the offset of this caliper will fit the way this is supposed to. You know, there were those spacers in there. I'm just not sure if we're gonna have to put those spacers basically right here. That's where that spacer would go, and then this bolt will go through the mounting bracket, potentially through that spacer, and then into the caliper. So it's just gonna have to be trial and error here. And the kind of crappy part is I do have the carbon fiber, the carbon ceramic brake pads in here. We may have to take that out as well. So we'll just see. I mean, if we do, it's 1 bolt, 2 pins, knock all that out, take all that hardware out. But I kind of want to see if the pads would even bolt up with the caliper. So, all right, guys. Well, surprisingly, the clearancing that we did on the caliper, everything worked out. I'll be honest, guys, I wasn't 100% sure if this was going to fit or not, but you guys can see the caliper and rotor are all sitting in here. It's rotating just fine. The back of this back pad is sitting on it. So you can hear that dragging a little bit, and the front's dragging a little bit too, but that's fine. I mean, if you look that up, it's rotating without issue. So yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised that this whole package came together. So this does answer our question, will the CTSV brake swap kit work with the 2019 and newer spindle, hub, and caliper, and the rotor off the big brake kit? Yeah, it'll work just fine. And so there you go. We have a big brake kit for the ZR2 for not that much money. I think I've got roughly 600 in calipers. I got another 200 in the brackets, so that's 800 bucks. The rotors, you're on your own for that. You could buy the GM rotors. Those are like 300 a piece. Or, you know, you can buy aftermarket rotors. I actually have one of those on order, but this came in first, so we're going to use the GM rotor. And so yeah, for not much money, you guys could get a big brake kit for the front of your Silverado ZR2 or your 2019 newer Silverado and GMC. That's if you guys don't want to buy that expensive GM kit. I think that's branded for GMC, Chevrolet, and Cadillac. You can buy one of those kits as well, or, you know, in price comparison compared to that. So but yeah, so we've got everything bolted on together. The rotor spins without issue. We've got carbon ceramic pads on there. So you guys are not going to want to use the ZR1 pads. You are going to want to buy a set of pads for a CTSV. I was looking at a set of Power Stop. They were about like $78 to $80. And yeah, so I mean, you're at $880 before rotors. You know, that's my cost on all this stuff. And you guys might be wondering, well, are you going to install the kit today? The answer is no. The short answer for that is going to be, it's December here in the Carolinas. It could snow any day, and the tires I have on there with those GMC wheels, I'll have a link to that video up above. Those tires are pretty much bald, and I'm not going to be running those in the snow. I still have the stock 18s over in the corner, so I'm going to bolt those back on. And I'm working on a budget right here, so I don't have the budget for the new tires just yet, but that will come eventually, and we will get this brake kit installed. So if you guys want to see that video, hit that subscribe button, turn on your bell notifications. If you guys want to help support the channel, check out the links down below. I'll have links to the calipers. I did buy one of those on Amazon, the brake pads, the rotors, all that stuff down below, and we'll drop a link to CTSV brake swap because they don't know this swap actually works, but they will when we get this kit done. Oh, and also make sure you check out our website, BonecrrusherSS.com. Any support you guys could give there, go right back into the channel, these projects, the truck, the Corvette, and all that. So thanks, guys. Have a great one.